Alright, actually I hadn't intended to film any of this, but I got thinking about what I'm doing here, and actually this is a bit of an interesting part of what I do with every guitar that I get. And I thought it would be interesting to share how quickly after, you know, just really a couple of years of doing this, that I can make an assessment about a guitar and what I think it needs to get it playing well. So forget all the fancy stuff I do with logos and painting and all that kind of stuff. Let's just assume I want to get this guitar playing well. And at the moment, that's really kind of all I'm thinking about this guitar, because if I'm honest, it's really cold and this is kind of a happy accident, so I don't have any logo changes in mind for this guitar. I'm just gonna, I think, at the moment, try to get it playing as well as I possibly can, and have that sort of be the happy accident purpose of this guitar. Because sometimes a guitar, if I'm honest, sort of tells me what it wants me to do to it, and I know that sounds corny, but it's sort of part of my personal process with each guitar. And while I had an entirely different plan for this, I hope you can appreciate the conclusion I've come to, which is this. I'm starting to feel like I should just take one of these guitars and do absolutely nothing to it in the way of aesthetics. This guitar, truthfully, is perfect the way it is. It looks factory fresh. If you forget some of the schmutz that the guy has on the finish, I've had a good look all around the finish. So let's just start with that part of the process. I've really kind of come around and touched and felt and smelled and looked at over the entire finish of this guitar. And there's not a single scratch on it. It looks factory fresh. So there's a couple of other things, and this is going to be hard to show. Oh crap, it's still plugged in. I was playing it. Anyway, this is going to be hard to show, but there's a few things already that I begin to notice immediately. It's going to be hard for you to see this, but this is a creamy color. Okay? This here is bright white. Now normally, everyone that I've gotten, this is bright white, and that's bright white. They're exactly the same color. So that tells me that one of two things. Either this didn't come with this, and the guy's been into the back there to do something, and replaced it with something else he had laying around, or it came with something like this, or that's original, and this is not original. That maybe he slapped some other kind of pickguard on there with who knows what kind of pickups, and done this sort of dodgy thing here with the volume pod, which again was not in his advertisement. Also, I begin looking at it right away, and I play it, and it's really, really, really obvious if you look at it from this perspective how high the strings are off the fingerboard. It's really bad. It's almost unplayable bad. So I don't know how well that's coming out on camera. Actually, I should be using my nice new gauge to show you this, but I reckon that's like 8 9/64ths. That's really pretty bad. So if you look at the way this neck is diving a bit, well, it's not diving, but look at the way that it's kind of angled. That to me tells me right away I need to get a shim in there, because of the position of those saddles already. So they're already kind of ideally where they should be, right? If this neck was at the correct angle, that would be the ideal position for those. So ideally what I'm going to do is get a shim in here, like you see done so many times, and that should hopefully correct that and let me then finally adjust this guitar properly. So as far as the electronics and the pickguard, all of this works the way he's got it here, so I don't really know what he's done. I have yet to pull it open. I'm starting to suspect that maybe he just pulled off the knob and tucked the other tone knob into the body in some way and didn't actually desolder that. But I'll be surprised to see what he's done there. And also I noticed in the back of the cavity he's done that silly thing where the springs are at an angle. You can tell just by looking at them there that he's got them cocked at an angle. So this dude's been into this guitar for sure. I don't reckon he's actually done any damage to it. It doesn't look like he's done anything overly invasive to it, so don't misunderstand. I'm not slamming this other owner in any way. I know in the other video it sounds like I am, but don't misunderstand. I'm not slamming this guy at all. He's just a regular guy trying to sell his guitar, get as much as he can for it. But he just happened to live pretty far away, which was going against his sale, and I think he was asking a bit too much money. Anyway, so these tuners, these junk tuners that I normally pass off right away, usually, and think to myself, yep, those gotta come off right away. Actually, I've noticed something I've never noticed in these tuners, which is they seem to have some sort of bushing in there. And if I'm honest, when I used them, they actually felt pretty good. So I don't know how well they stay in tune, but that's a good sign. It's a good sign that maybe this is a fairly new guitar. I don't know what year it is. He claims to have just bought it. Now, whether he bought it brand new in a store, or whether he bought it used from somebody who's kept it in good condition, I don't know. I'm hoping to get a date in the heel, or maybe make sense of this serial number. So, I don't know, is it an 08? 08 wouldn't be brand new. So, that would be another thing he's been dishonest about, or, well, I don't know. I don't want to say he was being dishonest, but inaccurate about, or left to interpretation. How about that? Anyway, but overall it's really clean. I'm super happy with it. The grain on this neck looks really good. It's a bit baseball batty feeling compared to all my other bullets. I was expecting a real thin neck, but this is thick, way thicker than I was expecting. So that's a bit of a surprise also. So really, apart from it being kind of poorly set up, the nut is going to need some adjustment there as well. I don't know how easy that's going to be to see, but those are way too high. Way too high. So as far as I'm concerned, to get this guitar playing well, if I do nothing to it aesthetically, but get it playing well, I've got to figure out what to do with that pot, put in a shim in the neck, and recut those nut slots, which I've figured out a clever way to do, which I don't think I've actually ever shown. But I think this guitar is not far from being a pretty good player. So let's see, let the title of this video be, what is the minimum amount of work I can put into a cheap guitar to get it to just play well? So let's start there. Let this be the intro to that.